on the road again with Marcia. That's me. Anyway, we're here at Comstock on this rainy June day to talk to the owner and to see what has been happening here. My name's Marcia Rothwell.
Yeah, Jerry Gettle, good to have you here.
Jerry,
today.
okay.
Yeah.
I've been to Comstock many times, so tell me what's happened and what you're doing and about your shop.
Well, just to start out with, we're trying to take everything back to the way it would have been hopefully 100 or more years ago. It's the best we can. We've removed a lot of the modern fluorescent lighting and putting in more traditional style lighting. We're cleaning up and straightening up and trying to bring back the antiques. And
so you're going to be having lots of antiques?
we want to turn it into more of a museum, basically a living museum.
A living museum.
With scenes for sale, of course, but also hands-on workshops, demonstrations, and events. And the other project we're working on is tearing up all the blacktop here, hopefully this summer, and turning it into all gardens where people can come learn about where their food comes from and planting and seed saving, as well as we're getting ready to re-site actually some of the buildings where the wood is starting to rot. So basically kind of light general upgrades or more like back grades. They're taking it back to the way it would have been and colors and everything, trying to make it like it would have been as close as we can get to, you know, basically 1900 or before.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about the classes. What kind of classes would you have?
Well, it would vary, but probably anything from like seed saving to soap making, classes about, you know, cooking, natural food, but, you know, of course, lots about gardening, you know, how to garden, how to plant different types of plants, and basically have it just always a kind of like a living history demonstration, hopefully, where people could come and see interpreters basically interpreting what's going on here every day in the gardens, and getting the printing press going again is something we want to do, the old press, and just any old activities we can do, we'd like to demonstrate them day to day, and working more along the lines, hopefully, here shortly, more along the lines of a nonprofit organization.
Oh, all right.
That's
kind
of a living,
exciting. I didn't know about that. I mean,
kind of a living history,
and
agricultural museum, basically. So.
When do you hope to be able to start some? I mean, I know you're working hard and reorganizing.
Yeah, we're doing a little bit right now already. We just had our spring festival, and we have been having some classes here and there throughout the year.
And how do people find out about your classes?
Right now, they can go to the website at comstockferry.com, or, you know, of course, people stop in here. But right now, we're just basically doing the minimum right now. We want to restore and get the grounds up to shape before we really seriously start.
So can we walk around?
Sure can.
So come, let's just show me this. I've been kind of poking around, but show me.
Yeah, we're also, the other thing we want to add is a lot of local food products from local food processors and people that grow honey or make chili or salsa or jams and jellies, etc. So
have you stopped at our little farmers market?
We have, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah,
maybe somebody there. Where do you now? This says we sell covered bridge cheddar cheese. Where does covered cheese? I don't know anything about that. So
it's a local Connecticut cheese producer that makes local different varieties of cheese here in Connecticut. So we're basically trying to, you know, stock a wide variety of New England and especially Connecticut products. In the future, again, we're restoring the buildings, so we're kind of limited on what we are doing at this point. But in the future, we want to expand out and fill everything with either displays, information, or local products, gift items, and of course, all the seeds. We've got about 1,400 different seeds in here.
Wow.
A lot of these varieties on these shelves right in here were all varieties Comstock carried from basically from the 1820s up until most of them into the 1950s. So the vast majority was stuff they carried in that time frame. A few from other seed companies in the area as well, but the majority of these they carried way back. Like this one here, it says was grown in 1820. This one was 1820. So a lot of these get way back. And then
what
others.
About the red onion?
The red onion, yeah, that was a very early one as well, the Wethersfield red onion. That one actually was around before Comstock, so that's a really neat variety. That was probably around maybe almost 100 years before Comstock existed here.
But did they sell Comstock after they developed the red onions?
They always carried the red onion here, yeah. They always carried it, and it was a popular variety. We got it again now. But then there's also varieties like this Calabrese broccoli, which at the time when it was introduced in the catalog, they were just telling people how to cook it because it was such a new vegetable. A lot of people still in the 1930s, when it was listed in their catalog, it tells how they're cooked. We have a little quote here in the thing. But in the old catalogs, it's interesting going through the years and seeing different vegetables.
So you'll probably maybe have people come demonstrate how to cook some of these vegetables. Is that correct?
Definitely in time we hope to do we actually have a little commercial kitchen in the house, but we'd like to get a commercial kitchen, where we can do demonstrations.
That would be great.
Here as well, and information to educate people about their food supply in general, and also to show people what the difference is in what food used to be like versus, modern and genetically engineered food and hybridized food and patented food that's basically controlled by corporations instead of by the farmers. When Comstock was here, everything, historically was farmers developed the seeds. And now it's basically corporations that are developing the seeds, and it's for different reasons. I mean, the farmers are developing things not only that are productive, but that taste good and that still have flavor versus, a lot of modern grocery store tomatoes people hardly want to eat anymore. And, now with genetic engineering, people have concerns with that as well. So there's a lot of issues why we feel not only preserving the seeds are important, but educating people to the uses of them, both to preserve the genetics, but also just to keep the stories alive. This one Thomas Jefferson grew, and a lot of them are just as productive as today's hybrid varieties. It's just we've lost them. And once they come back...
Where do you get your seeds? How does that
A little
work?
here and there. Some we collect as we travel. Others people bring in and send to us. People bring in varieties to us like the Wethersfield red onion or the Comstock slice and sauce tomato in a little jar, or some beans in a jar that said my great-grandmother brought over when she came from Germany. And other things we collect from, as we're traveling, both here in the U.S. and other places. So it's exciting. But, unfortunately, probably well over half of what Comstock used to carry in, say, 1890 or 1900 is gone now and, has disappeared.
Really, that much?
Well over half. So it's, we want to hang on to what's left and keep it alive for future generations and hopefully find a few more things each year that we can reintroduce that might still be in somebody's closet or somebody's garden somewhere, even, in some cases in other countries like Canada or somewhere else might be hanging on to an old variety that has disappeared here in the United States. But the good thing is there is a lot of revival and push to get these old varieties like the Wethersfield onion back into the market. I mean, people are wanting them. People remember how they tasted and they remember the history, and they want real, vegetables back into the, the market again. So that's the
Very good.
upward trend. So we're excited to be working on it.
It's exciting to have you here, and have you had a big interest in the community? Has the community come?
The community's been very supportive, but a lot of the issues we're having right now is just the restoration issues. Before we can, we're open, but there's so much that can be done here. There's so many buildings. I mean, we have 20,000 square feet of old buildings that date back from the 1760s up until the 1950s, and in most cases they're pretty structurally sound, but in many cases they need a little bit of insulation, or they need a little bit of paint, or a little bit of paint removed, or so forth and so forth. They need a little more heat, but overall, I mean, it's an amazing opportunity to be able to work on such incredible buildings that were kept and maintained as well as they were for 200 plus years in many cases. So the only thing is, I mean, there has been a lot of challenges. Like just the last few days, we've removed like 2 garbage bags full of just assorted cables and cords from the roof in the building here. Wow. Just old wires that were like disconnected phone cables. And over the years, people kept adding things. And, it was easier to add than remove. That's how it is. Yeah. So that's basically what we've been doing for the last year or so. It's just cleaning and fixing and painting where it needs to be painted. And we're getting ready, like I said, to reside this building where we're standing right now. So.
What about this room over here? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure can. See a lot of old influence down here.
Okay, lots of interesting things.
And this is part of the equipment that came with the place. There's a lot more in in the building when we moved in, we found like 27 old skills. You can see lots and lots of pieces of seed cleaning equipment, several printing presses of various sorts to print both packets and also pages, seed packing machines and cleaning and sorting machines of all sorts, lots of scoops and measures and seed boxes.
Can you get any of these back to going?
A lot of these actually were going when we moved in, or not shortly before we moved in. So in the future, we hope to have a lot of the equipment going again. It's just some of it needs a little maintenance, and some of it's ready to go right now, but the majority of it needs a little bit.
We have smaller sizes, which is great for a new baby. For a christening blanket, you can put the baby's name and birth date, birth weight, that kind of thing. And those are done locally. And the Afghan itself is made in the U.S.
Wow.
Again,
Yeah,
trying to keep that U.S. made focus.
Wow.
So,
Wow, very nice. Of course.
and of
We
course
all
Vera.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we all know Vera.
So you've got a large selection and variety of different things, and I like the idea that you want it for special occasions.
Yep. And we're always looking for something new. If we have anybody who's a local artist, we love to talk to people and try and feature their work if it fits in with the scope of what the store is doing.
Let me just see. We didn't get over in that corner. We missed that corner.
And there's a customer there too.
Oh,
Customer waiting.
no, you don't need to. You don't want it. It's by local artists too.
Some of them are. We have a local photographer who does a beautiful, she just has a fabulous eye. She does scenes of our local Wethersfield, and then she has a lot of florals and scenes from other areas as well, but she does do a nice concentration of scenes from Wethersfield. We also have a woman who takes vintage images and puts them on greeting cards and embellishes them a little bit, which is really fun. And then another pair of women who hand make each of these cards. They do sell some of them commercially. We happen to have been featuring them since they started, and each piece is individually hand done.
Wow.
They're from Cromwell. And some of them are greeted, some of them are blank on the inside, but they just do a fabulous group of design. And they also will do custom work. They do custom invitations, baby announcements, that kind of
hard.
So they are working very hard.
Very hard. And over here we've got all of the babies.
This is our children's area, which we are trying to expand. We have the mother of one of the women that works in the store makes these wonderful little knitted hats, which are just absolutely adorable. And they're all one of a kind.
Child?
Oh, yeah. I'm working on grandchildren.
All right. Okay. I understand that.
They're much easier and
That's
much
right.
more fun. No responsibility.
That's right. Very good.
But we have lots of things. And we also carry tea. When
That's
Mainly Tea closed, that was our sister store. So even though the restaurant closed, we wanted to keep the tea availability alive. So we carry Harney and Sons. They're Connecticut blenders, very well known in the area. We have our own private label teas, which are some fabulous loose leaf teas. And then, of course, teas in bags, which are very convenient. A few accessories and things to go along with tea.
So you've really done very well.
So we got a small space, but we're trying to make the most of it.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate your coming.
Oh, let me just make sure I'm a Paula.
And Paula, this is your store?
It is. I tell people it's my home away from home since I live more here than I do in my house. I just sleep there.
So tell me all about it. How long have you been in existence?
Well, this is my 12th season.
Wow.
And it started out, I came home from being away in Europe for about 10 years, and I really miss the coziness, the charm. So I moved to Old Wethersfield and got a little itchy after being with the airline so long that I missed the busyness, the people, and my dad, Sonny, had a deli in Middletown for almost 25 years, and I
started when you grew up, or was he on something else?
No, he didn't start that till he was 50. So he's a man of many hats. So I got that started with him and all my brothers, and My sisters were a little bit involved. My mom was there, of course. So I wanted to open something. I was thinking of a little cafe, European cafe, because I love to bake and cook. But there was only one really section that had any availability for business. And after 2 years, this little hole in the corner opened up. And I honestly don't know where the idea came to open an ice cream shop. I never scooped, didn't know much about it, only that, you know, I like it and I knew most people like it. And that was the beginning. I opened up, it was the right time, right place. You know, I was very well received from the town, the loyalty from, you know, the neighbors and people who started hearing about me. And then it just kept blooming and blooming. And I decided I would try to move to my home, since my home has always been a commercial residential place. So I started the process, very long, very challenging, to get all the approvals, and here I am.
That's wonderful. Look at, let's just take a look around.
Okay.
And I see you've got pictures of all the children, or a lot of the children, not all the children. I
Yeah,
know
there's
that.
adults there too.
There's some adults, but I guess I see those big, cute pictures of all
Yeah,
of
well,
them.
that wasn't planned either. In my first shop, I had no one whatsoever, but how could you pass up faces like this with the ice cream trip and the happiness?
No.
So it just bloomed and bloomed and bloomed, and before I know it, this is the entire town, and then it just grew and grew, and now
Look at this. It's
well,
amazing.
look up.
Oh my goodness,
It's
look
grown
at
to the
this.
ceiling. Grown to the ceiling.
Look at this. I
So,
didn't, oh my,
Yes.
oh wow.
It's going and going.
Now, you've got different countries here. What are they representing?
Well, that's my love of travel. I've been cross country many times, and like I said, I lived abroad, and so many of my friends were foreigners. I learned so much about the world and other cultures. Even though I lived in Germany, I had so many foreign friends, and I wanted people to feel welcome and connected, since I know what it's like being a foreigner in another country.
And look at this. Look at this.
This is all our visitors. So even though Old Wethersfield is a very tiny place on our big map, we've had quite a lot of visitors, and all these signs say welcome in all the different languages. So when someone's come in and I can hear the accent and I welcome them and I say, we want to put your welcome in your language, and that's what I've done.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
Now, you were talking how you're blossoming and blooming, you've got the flowers to prove it, and you mentioned your dad.
Yes, Sonny. He has been hand slicing the best tender, hot corned beef and pastrami sandwiches for about 30 years now.
And somehow he's come back with you now.
Well, you know, it just all was timing, because the building he had been in got sold, and they wanted his side. And I had just built this, and I said, Dad, come on and work for me. I used to be, you know, working for you. Now you can work for me.
How's that work? Just switching roles.
You know, my dad's the best. So he came here. He started just scooping. He's very humble. And then anytime anybody saw him, whether it was in a restaurant or they caught him in the store, when they saw him here, they were like, Sonny, we've got to have one of your sandwiches. And I had expanded, but it was really for the ice creams. So we made a little table for him, and he's got his steam table.
Oh, very tiny.
It's just grown and grown, and you know, he's still cutting and keeping people
How often
happy.
does he come?
He's actually here 6 days a week.
Is he really?
Yeah.
And he's here for lunch or something? Is that
Oh yes,
right?
he serves 11 to 3 lunch, and you know, it's just a great
So now
combination.
people can come have lunch and
That's
then
right.
have dessert.
That's right. We have some homemade soups, and we have some stuffed croissants. So
Oh my
a very
goodness.
light meal, but
Well,
his sandwiches tend to be so big, as people knew, so then they don't have any more room for ice cream.
Uh-oh. That's not a... No, I'm only teasing. No, I'm only
But
teasing.
the rainy days and the cooler days, it's nice to have him here. Of course, he's my dad, so I'm so happy to have him with my
Well, it is
mom.
not nice to continue, but not have to worry about building and everything else. That's
And the help.
and the
I have to worry about the help, but he
does
doesn't.
not, and that's
Yeah.
nice.
I
That's
tend to depend the most on my parents.
That's
And I know he won't be happy if he sees this, but he's turning 80 July 4th.
Wow.
And yes, a big picnic. I have 5 brothers and sisters, so just our families make a lot of people. But yeah, we're going to have a big picnic at my youngest brother's home.
Well, you should have something to hear. I don't know whether it is, but everybody, I don't know. somehow have some sign their names or
Oh,
something.
that's a good idea.
It doesn't have to be a big to do, but you know what?
So I'm going to take you up on that because there's so many people who know my dad from all aspects.
So you should. So, I mean, you've done beautiful here.
Yeah.
And you could have something to honor.
It's a nice feeling. Nice feeling.
So now, your ice cream, you get it at many places, or what about
Well, there's a wonderful couple, Joe Torre and his wife Donna, who created this wonderful recipe. So it's locally made. They use the same herbs for 25 years.
Wow.
It's made every day, so I'm so proud to have their wonderful ice cream.
So it is local.
It is. It is.
Wow.
So this is it. People ask me what the favorite flavors are. They're all popular. The espresso ripple bean, coffee ice cream, fudge ripple, roasted coffee beans. One of the highlights are peanut butter nightmare, grape nut. It's the real grape nut cereal.
Really?
You know, they're all popular. We have a cookie monster, which is a combination of cookie dough, Oreos, graham crackers, and number one with the kids. It tastes just like cotton candy, they tell me. Because I've only had a half a dozen flavors in my 12 years of doing this.
Oh, you haven't tasted it?
Most don't stray. The majority of people, about 90%.
So now what's your favorite?
Chocolate chip.
Chocolate.
That's it. Plain and simple, which isn't like me, but that's my favorite.
Wow, look at all these. Cookie Monster, pistachio. Oh, real pistachio. Not
Real,
just the
real
green
deal.
dyed sweet stuff. I like pistachio.
And
but I
we
like
have,
real.
Yeah, the real stuff. Everything is really as homemade as it gets, the best quality, which is what my dad always said. Yes, we have homemade yogurt. We carry sugar-free, dairy-free ice creams, soy-free.
So diabetics can come in and have
That's
some.
right. And there's so many children with allergies.
That's
So
true.
I try to do something for everyone. We also make everything from sundaes to ice cream floats to the old-fashioned ice cream sodas. We have.
Oh, you have ice cream soda? I haven't
We
had
do.
a float for a long time. Oops, sorry.
I had a gentleman in here who was very, very serious that he wanted to have a real ice cream soda. Now, my dad's the expert, but I was a little nervous because he'd been doing it all his life. In the old times, the soda jerk, and I said, I'm going to try the best I can. And I measured up, chocolate syrup for him, and he said he'd be back with his wife, because if I made him a good ice cream soda, he was coming back with his wife for some ice cream. So I passed the test. So yes, we have a really nice variety. And I have a wonderful cappuccino machine and lattes.
Wow.
I have an incredible baker from Middletown, Nancy, and she
The
makes...
only time I'm ever in here, it's so crowded that I don't get to see all these other extras I have.
Yeah.
So,
I went from 25 to over 50 flavors when I moved from my other little shop. So
wow.
yes, something for everybody.
I
hope.
guess so.
I
It
hope.
looks that way.
Yep, I try to, support all the community events.
And I see you've got Farmers Market, which
Yes,
now is
and
down at the
local-
Solomon
couple
Wells
local
house.
Women. These are some nice articles and pictures of some of the local kids. And of course, I have my 2 bulletin boards out there.
That's wonderful.
And I don't know if you noticed that I have a dogfish for water and
I
also
did.
biscuits.
Yes.
Because we grew up with animals. I can't have any with my busy schedule, but it's such a dog-friendly town. So I even have something for our dog friends. And we even have an ice cream. Where I take vanilla ice cream and I put it in milk on. I sell thousands. I'm just going to scoop for oh yeah, my door's on. I've got a wonderful friend. She was a patron. Now she's a close friend. She's here so much that I give her my glass bowls from my house and a metal spoon to have her soup. And I just made some homemade chicken soup, so I think she might be coming for that.
Well,
Yeah.
I bet she is. So listen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
No,
Really
great.
appreciate it.